All right, welcome back. Good to have you with us here on the South African Morning. The era of empowered women is here. Tomorrow, the 2022 W-Suite Summit are going to be celebrating high-achieving women in our country and, of course, defining the next steps in the rise of professional women in our country. W-Suite founder and CEO Katie Mohamed joining us this morning here on eNCA. Morning to you, Katie. Good to have you with us. Big day tomorrow as well. But one of the standout comments that I'd like to pick up on, first of all, is a professional renaissance. Good morning. What does that look like?
Good morning, Gareth, and thank you for having me. I think we have realized that women for generations have had lasting legacies of inspiration and transformation. So it's not like we need to be empowered today. So over centuries and decades. So for us, it's this continued conversation of the empowered women, and it's this conversation of how, as women, we constantly need to have to be high-achieving women. And I think that's one of the most important things that we want to uncover this year, is that we put so much weight on ourselves, but what are our secrets? Are we doing it wrong? Are we doing it right? And how can we navigate our journey through this empowered women?
You mentioned the word we a lot. I see on your program as well, going to be talking about manifesting we. Unpack that for me. What do you do? How do you do that?
So constantly we talk about manifestation of I. It's like, I'm enough, I'm worthy. We have all of these conversations. But we realize that we can't do this life on our own. You know, collaboration is the new currency. We cannot do this life on our own. And manifesting we is when it comes to business, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to friendships, how do we do this together? Because our conversation is about communication with regards to taking life forward together. So for me, it's how do we create a manifestation of we when it comes to business, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to relationships.
And it's got to be spoken about as well. While we continue to celebrate Women's Month, we had Women's Day just a few days ago as well. It's always important that men are involved in this as well. How do we get men to be allies in the workplace? By using the word allies, though, I suppose we have to qualify that in some cases men, and it's well documented, can often be a barrier. I wouldn't go as far as to say an enemy, but if we're forming allies, we are talking about an opposition in the workplace, aren't we?
So we need to transform men to be our allies. And I think that's the conversation we are having, is how do we transform men into our allies? A lot of men are advocates for women empowerment. So we can't really box everybody in one thing. Sometimes we also talk about that women are also a barrier to us as well. So these conversations are, how do we transform the men that are in our circle, that are passionate about empowerment, that are in corporate, that are constantly having conversations about growth and transformation within. So for me, it's always about how do we sit around a table with men and talk about these conversations about transformation.
Let's talk about this table that we need to all sit around and have these conversations. Transformation, renaissance, growth, all of that taking place tomorrow, if I understand correctly, the W-Suite Summit for 2022. What are we expecting? Where can people watch this? And what's the plan for the day tomorrow?
So we, of course, have great partners like the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So we will be there. It will be live streamed on the W-Suite YouTube. We have great partners like Imperial Logistics, Brand South Africa through their Play Your Part programs. So we have over 200 women. We've oversubscribed this year, which is really great. And it really shows that women constantly need a platform to spark conversation. So if you haven't registered, you can hit us up onto our Facebook and YouTube, and we will be live streaming from there.
I'm actually glad you mentioned Facebook and YouTube and Instagrams and all of these socials, as the kids call it these days. What do you mean? I see on the program you're going to talk about one of the game changers. Do it for the gram. I wouldn't have thought that social media is the way to take it forward, but perhaps social media, particularly the gram, Instagram, has more power than I realize.
Yes, I think social media is a big part of a conversation. We have one of the most amazing social media people that are actually going to talk about Weza Solange, who will talk about how she has also utilized and created impact via social media. For us, social media is not only about influence; it's about how do we create our impact. And I think when you start creating a brand and it lives off social media, it does affect your personal life, it affects your professional life. So we are going to have this conversation about how important it is for us to utilize our social media platforms in order for us to create the brands we want people to see us as.
Katie Mohamed joining us this morning, founder of W Suite and CEO as well. I'm sure you can go and look for it tomorrow. The hashtag I see here, you can follow the conversation. Hashtag W Suite, that's SUITE Suite, W Suite Summit 2022. And look out for it on the W Suite YouTube channel tomorrow morning, starting at 9 o'clock. We're heading